Thank you so much. That's so nice of you. Are you okay that I sit? Is it okay that I sit? Everyone all right? Okay. So yeah, I'm going to send it to you right now. Hang on. We're going to jump right in. And we're going to talk about, tonight, we're going to talk about the power of gratitude. So there's a lot of talk about the power of gratitude and what gratitude is and why it's so effective. There's a lot of research on it, a lot of science on it, a lot of Torah on it, tons of Kabbalah on it. And people talk about it a lot. You know, you have to be grateful, you have to count your blessings, people do gratitude journals. And what we're going to do tonight is that we're going to understand deeply. And we're going to go into the science of it, we're going to go into the psychology of it, and we're going to go into Kabbalah and understand really what this power is. What is this force? Because it's nothing less than a force. You know how when you're walking down the street and you feel like, or when you're in your room or in your car, and you feel like someone's looking at you, so you like see who's looking at you because you feel them looking at you. You know that feeling when you know that someone's looking at you? So that feeling that you get when you feel like someone is looking at you, like someone is in your space or someone's focusing on you or there's something around, that feeling that you get that makes you turn your head and see what's going on, that's something that's called energy. And now in our previous classes we discussed energy. We talked about what energy is and how it works and how real it is. We talked about how really we live in a very physical world and people live in a very physical way. That if I see it, it's there, and if I don't see it, it's not there. And most of the things that we operate, the way we operate and what we believe in and what we look forward to and our emotions or wherever we come from, our history, our childhood, most of the things that make up who we are, have very little to do with facts on the table, have very little to do with what we see, has everything to do with what we experienced, how we feel, the emotion aspect of it. In other words, most of our lives, like we said in, I think it was the first class, that when you walk down Fifth Avenue in Manhattan, right, or even here, right, what do people do? What do the advertising companies do? They plan our emotions. They show us I remember leaving the subway station. I remember walking up the subway station to Fifth Avenue, and I remember seeing this like insane billboard. Like it was huge. You know how it is in Manhattan. So it was just like gigantic, huge billboard, and the whole billboard was a model, and the message of what they were trying to sell was a cigarette. It was like, I think Kohl's, one of those cigarette companies, and she was dressed, or not really dressed, right? She was wearing just basically nothing, and high heels, and her cigarette, and then there was a picture of the cigarette company on the bottom, Kohl's, and there was like some kind of a tagline or something along those lines. So what was the expression on her face? The expression on her face was happy, joyful, sexy, all the things that people, just by looking at it, the message that I get just by looking at it, even though I'm so much smarter than that, but the message, the subliminal messages that I get is if I want to be like her, happy, joyful, sexy, whatever it is whatever message they're giving, then that equals that, meaning that equals Kohl's. And how does that even work? We're so much smarter than that. Right? And people do it all the time. The advertising companies do it with everything. People try to sell shoes. So I was in Russia. I went to Russia a bunch of years ago to work on a program there. And we went to the malls. Now in Russia, it's a whole different story than in America. They don't censor. They don't need to censor on advertisements. And you walk into the mall, and it's a huge, gorgeous palace. It looks like a palace from the outside. And you walk in, and from wall to wall, and I'm telling you something like the entire block. So you're walking along this advertisement. And again, there's this woman lying on her side and not dressed at all, right? And at the end of it are high-heel stilettos. And that's what they're selling, just the stilettos. And the message is there. It's not, if they would want to just sell you the shoes and just sell you the actual pair of shoes, and they would just put a pair of shoes on a picture, they would take a picture of it and they would put it there, and they would just like right there, I don't know, the email address or website where you can buy those pair of shoes. But there's a whole message that if you want to do this, or if you want to be that, or if you want to feel this, it equals that. Get this product. I remember going to, I'm a makeup artist, and I went to makeup school for 2 years. here in Israel. I remember a teacher walking in one day, and she had a lipstick in her hand, and she was so passionate about this lipstick. And she was just telling us, she was explaining to us, she was almost crying, because how amazing this lipstick is and how incredible. And you cannot be makeup artists if you don't have this lipstick in your case. It's just not possible. You're not going to succeed if you don't have this lipstick. And she was so convincing, and everyone was taking notes, and I was just like looking around like, this is for real. This is really happening. Later on, I started working for that company, and they trained us that that's how we have to teach it. That's how we have to do it. We have to come in with passion and tears in our eyes and explain to them that if they don't have this in their case, they might as well go home. Because this is what they need. Because that was the latest product on their line, and that's what they need to sell right now. So if you tie emotion to whatever it is that you're trying to sell, then that's what people buy. Tie emotion to it. I do, like my kids do it all the time. My kids see something that they want, right? And the reason that they want it so badly is because of the message that they were given in the commercial or whatever they saw, the hoverboard or wherever it is that they were seeing. The experience is what they got sold on. It wasn't so much the actual piece. It wasn't the actual product. It was the experience that the product is going to give you. So that's what we're being sold 24/7. Take a walk here on Dizengoff. You'll see it everywhere. We're just so used to it. Our eyes are so used to it. But that's really in essence what's going on. We're always being sold something, and they're linking it to emotion. That if you want to feel this or have this or experience this in your life, buy this, get this. Otherwise, it's not happening. Right? And that's why people are always feeling like they're always running after things. Like if you're not feeling well, for the women in the room, or also for the men, oftentimes when we don't feel well, we go after things. We have to go shopping. We need to buy something new. We want to acquire things. Because the things we feel for the moments that we have them in the beginning, right in the beginning when we purchase them, when we go home with our new bag, with our stuff inside, we feel better. But it's always like a high, and then it goes back to regular. Right? Because it's almost like, according to Kabbalah, it's called Tnuat Nefesh. The nefesh is who we are in essence. In the inside, there's a tnuah, there's a movement. What's the movement? There's a high movement. So if you're looking forward to that party or to that drug or to that person or to whatever, because in your head you're telling yourself that's going to be amazing, it's going to be enjoyable, I just want it, right? So you experience it for the first few minutes, for the first hour or two, and then it goes right back to where, or oftentimes with other like substances, it goes high and then it drops low, right? Because there's the high, the higher the high, the lower the low. That's how it goes. Why? Because we feel like this is going to give me that pick me up. This is going to give me that pleasure that I need right now. This is going to give me that good feeling that I need right now because I'm down, because I got fired, because I don't know what to do with my life, because I'm bored, because I'm lost, because whatever it is, and this is going to fix it for me. And really, we're just playing games on ourselves because we've been there before. We've been around the block already many, many times, and it has never really cut it. But it's just for that moment. It's just for that tnuat nefesh. It's just for that moment of feeling that pleasure. And then it goes back. It goes back to where it was and oftentimes lower. Right? So there are real things in this world. Hang on one second. Let me just finish this concept. There are real things in this world that we don't see, that we can't touch, that we can't pour, that we can't eat, we can't hold. They're not mamashim. They're not gashmi, they're not physical, that are so real, that are so what we're after, that are so the emotion that we want to invoke and experience, that are so part of our lives that most of the things that we're into are not necessarily the actual thing itself. It's not the lipstick that I want, it's the experience that I want. It's not the drug that I want, it's the experience that it comes with. It's not the guy or the girl that I want, it's the experience that they're going to give me, that I'm loved, that I'm wanted, that I'm cared for. It's the experience, it's the emotion that's going to elicit in us. And that's what everyone's running around like chicken without heads every single day, all the time, to experience, to get that pleasure. So we live in a very physical world, but most of our experience is very spiritual. It's a very not here, I can't touch it, I can't put it in a box, I don't really see it, but I experience it, I feel it. We are after the experience. So since we're after the experience, we have to know that there are things that work, and there are things that make believe like they work. Okay? That work for like a few minutes, a few hours, and then they don't work anymore. So being that we're in a place in our lives that we want things to work, we don't want to go in circles anymore. We've been around the block, we know what the feelings are, we know the highs, we know the lows. we've been in that space for a very long time. We want to be able to grab, to get the things, to put it in our arsenal, right? To have in our lives that actually work, and they work long term, meaning they shift me as a person. They mold me, they carve me. They make my experience here in this world a better one, my life a better one, my interactions better interactions. It's not just for the here and the now. It's not just the party or the experience or the product or the vacation. It's not just that. Those are nice additions, but it can't just be that when I'm feeling not good, or when I want my life to take a better turn, a better direction. I want to experience better experiences in my life. It can't be that it's constantly going after the same things and bringing me the same results. I have to look at it almost like in a very clinical way, in a very logical, clinical way. That I know that if I smoke that, go there, do that, in touch with him, in touch with her, it's going to give me that tnuat nefesh, it's going to give me that momentary experience, but then I'm back. So I'm an adult. I want to change. I want to see better, and I want to see long-term effects. The short-term stuff is cute. I want to see long-term, meaning I want to be in a better place. I want to have a better experience here. And I want to look back in a year from now and say, wow, I did a good job. I came a long way. I'm a different person. I really am a different person from where I was last year. Last year, I would get angry like that. Last year, I was impatient with myself and everyone else around me. Last year, I was just pushing people out of my space. I didn't know how to hold on to good people. I didn't know how to create better relationships. I didn't know how to hold on to a job. And now I do. Because like we said in last class, we are in this world, we're like Play-Doh. We're Play-Doh. We're born Play-Doh. And now the rest of our lives, we have to figure out how to mold this thing. I have to figure out how to mold arms, legs. I have to make this thing look like a person. And in Hebrew, we say we have to turn ourselves into a mention. We have to become a mensch. To become a mensch means to become a person. Now, I have so much inside of my nefesh. For those of you that missed the first two classes, we spoke a lot about the nefesh, which is the spiritual component of who we are, which is who I am. The person that's sitting here in front of you is not a body, it's not veins and sinews and organs. Okay? The person that's sitting in front of you right now is a nefesh. My nefesh is talking to you right now. The person that I am, the person that I worked on being, the person that I evolved into becoming, all my shortcomings and all my positive attributes, all of that is sitting in front of you right now. That's who you are, that's who I am. We are our nefesh. We are the spiritual component of ourselves. We discussed how a person has their physical and their spiritual. A person is made out of body and soul. The soul is really the nugget, is really the hard drive of what I am. And the more I'm able to invest in me, investing in me is not just to drink more, eat more, consume more, buy more, have more, because that's body. It's not just that. It has to be to invest in soul as well. The more I'm able to invest in soul, the more I'm investing in self. The more I'm investing in self, because it's hard to invest in soul, because when you invest in the physical aspect of your life, then what do? You go to the mall, you buy yourself something, or you go to that job and you have that paycheck at the end of the month, and you actually see it. You're feeling it, you're experiencing it, you know that it's coming. But when you invest in soul and you make deposits into your soul account, then not very often can you see the fruits of your labor that quickly. You don't. It's not like, okay, I punched in 9 to 5 and now I'm going to get X amount of money for that time. It doesn't work that way. But over time, not so much time, by the way, if any of you have put into practice the work that we've done here in Breakthrough the past two sessions, you see already how you're shifting. People were telling me here that they just did a few of the exercises and their friends were telling them, wow, you seem so different. Your vibe is different. You just seem so different. Why? Because they're making spiritual deposits into themselves. Because body is just like our body comes into this world and leaves this world and it's very temporary. It's body. Everything that has to do with body world, everything that has to do with the body language, it's always going to be temporary. It has a shelf life. So the car and the house and the vacation and the guy or the girl and the party and whatever it is that I'm investing in, it has a shelf life. It's going to expire at a certain point. But what doesn't have a shelf life is the spiritual component of myself. And when you are coming out here, when you push yourselves out to classes to be able to get more information, to be able to get more food for thought, to know how to work with self, to know how to invest in self. Every single time you do that, you're making deposits into yourself. And when you do that, that never, ever, ever gets depleted. That doesn't get, what's the word? There's deposit and then there's withdraw. Yeah, it doesn't get withdrawn. It's yours forever. Every single time you make a bracha, on food, what you're doing is nourishing your body and you're nourishing your soul. Nourishing your body and you're nourishing your soul. On that note, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol nהיה bidbaro. By the fact that you said amen, you just nourished your soul. Now, when you do that over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, then you evolve and you change, and all of a sudden your thoughts change, and all of a sudden you have more aha moments, or all of a sudden you realize that those kind of people are really not. I'm not connecting to these people anymore. These people that I've always connected to, pachot. I'm moving in a different direction. I'm moving I'm gravitating towards a different type, other people, right? Because I'm evolving and I'm changing. So what we're talking about today is the power of gratitude. And if we understood gratitude, which we're going to understand by the end of this class, we're going to see how the actual act of being grateful for whatever is, the act of doing, but you have to do it. It's something that has to be done, just like you have to wake up in the morning and brush your teeth in order to be able to not lose your teeth, right? There are certain things that you have to do in order to see results. The act of gratitude and knowing how to be grateful. It's not just, oh, thank you so much. It's not just like that. Meaning there is a protocol. There's a science. There's a way to make it work for us. So there's a psychologist. He's written many, many self-help books. He's considered, I think it was number 31 on the list of top psychologists and authors in the 20th century. His name is Martin Seligman, and he, about 3 decades ago, studied something very interesting, and he came out with something even more interesting. Him and a group of colleagues got together, and at the time, science was very busy with how negative thinking patterns, how stress, how anxiety affects mental illness. And there was a lot of research done on it, and there was a lot of talk about it, and there was a lot of essays written about it, and there was just a lot of focus on negative psychology. Meaning, when a person goes down a negative thinking path about themselves, about life, about their experiences, how that impacts their health, their physical health, and their mental health, specifically their mental health. So he got together with a few of his friends, colleagues, and they started doing research on something called positive psychology. And they researched. They went into old age homes and nursing homes. And if you've ever gone into a nursing home, you know that there's the positive ones, like the nice old ladies that are like, oh, you came to visit me, I have cookies. Like, there's those, right? And then there's the ones that are like, get out of here, I hate you. You've ever been to a nursing home? It's like that, okay? Check it out. It's like very extreme. Because once a person gets to that age in their life, then they're not busy with work, kids, their looks. They're not busy with that stuff that kind of like distracts us from ourselves, from our own characteristics. So then they're old, and they're sitting on wheelchairs, and they have other people taking them to the bathroom and bathing them, and all of a sudden all of their truth, meaning all of their character, their personality, surfaces. And you see the difference. And they studied these two groups of people. And what they came out with is fascinating. I'll put this on the group afterwards for anyone that wants to learn about it and see it. It's like there's research, tons of research on this, what he came out with. I'm telling it to you in shorthand. What they came out with is like this. The people that have taken their lives in a direction where they were able to gauge the experiences that they had in a healthy way. In other words, you are overwhelmed right now. Okay, you're overwhelmed right now by the fact that you don't have a job, okay, or by the fact that you're single, all right, or by the fact that you don't even know why you're in Israel, but you want to be here, but you don't know how you're going to make it here, or whatever it is that's sitting on your head right now. So a healthy mind, a mind that's been trained, a mind that knows how to think, a mind that really, because we don't just know how to think. We're born, again, this is from the first class, we're born thinking negatively. It's always the default position is to go into the negative space. Everyone is always worried about something. We're always busy worrying about something, right? Because that's how our minds are programmed. In order for a person to have quality of life and existence, and be able to create a reality that they love and have people in their lives that they want to have in their lives and positive relationships and an experience that is what they would like, in order for that to happen, they have to know how to train their thoughts and train their mind. Our minds are silly putty. We got to know how to train them, otherwise they will take over. And the people that they've studied, and I'm going to get back to the experiment, to the research in a second, but people that they studied that had a very regular approach to life. Like, oh, I can't find parking. Why does it always happen to me that I can't find parking? Oh my God, I got into a fender bender. Why is this always happening to me? I got a ticket, or this is not working out. I can't find a job, and like the stress, and like I can't do it, and the fear, and the worry, and then the calling the family members or the friends and talking about it, and like really being in it. Those are the people that haven't learned the science of how to be good to themselves and how to make their lives work. You got to know how to make your lives work. We are the commander of our ship. If we don't know how to steer this boat, it's just going to go in circles. So they saw with these two groups of people that the people that were in the more angry, negative space were the ones that died earlier. Okay? They could have been suffering from the same illnesses as the people that were more in the positive group. They had the same problems. They had the same medications that they were on. They had the same kind of family environment, all of that. But the people that were negative, meaning the people that felt like life has wronged them, like their son never comes to visit them, and this is what's going on in their lives and it's not right, and this is what that person did to them 20 years ago. The people that are there, they die younger, okay? And they die with complications. Like really complicated situations, meaning they sabotage their own health really, really badly, because the mind-body connection is very, very deep. So beyond just having a positive outlook on life, it's actually life-saving. It's actually life-extending. It's actually life-preserving. So in terms of science, they found that the people that have this like positive outlook, that know how to gauge, so again, back to our, oh my God, this is all these things that are going on. So a person that has studied mindfulness, a person that knows how to train their minds, knows that when I am overwhelmed, when I am in the situation, when I feel fear, what I do is I get up and I walk away. What I mean when I say I get up and walk away, that nothing positive and nothing good and no solutions will ever, ever come from a state of being that is overwhelmed and stressed, ever. Meaning if you now have to figure something out, you have to figure out how to bring in money, okay? And your approach to it is like that. You have to know that the next step must be, if you want to have the money, if you want to be able to get to the solution, the next step must be to walk away and go do something else. Change your environment, go do something else, go do jumping jacks, go eat some ice cream, jump out, go outside, don't jump out the window, just go outside, be with someone that you like to be with, take your mind off of the issue, and then come back to it. Because it's almost like our minds go into this, loop. Okay, and this has also been proven scientifically. They go into this loop, and the loop that we're in can never ever create something beyond what it's in. We have to break the loop, go out of it, and come back to it. That's just tip number one. This is, breakthrough is about 8 hours of hardcore study. The power of positive thinking and training our minds, learning how to train our minds and mindfulness. It takes about 8 to 10 hours of really, really working the material, meaning learning it and working it in order to be able to see results. And we're doing it here in shorthand really quickly. But that's something that what I'm telling you right now, this tip that I'm giving you right now, I've been teaching Breakthrough for about 4 years. I've taught it probably over 300 times. Okay? And even at this point where I'm so well versed in the material, and I so know the material, I don't have any notes on me, right? Where I find myself in these situations all the time, where I'm overwhelmed and I'm worried and I'm stressed or I'm angry. And in the moment, I know right now it's already turned into like it's a knee-jerk reaction at this point that I step away from it. And every single time I come back to it, it delivers better results. Always. Because you got to know how you work as a human being. We have to know how our minds work. We have to be smarter. We have to have tools. So what he came back saying is like this. I'm going to use your phone for a second. If you can just open up the thing that I sent you. Thank you. Here is one second. Here are the results okay, that came back from their research. They researched people that are positive, that know how to do positive thinking, that know how to do mind training, that know how to get around situations in life. In other words, not just jump into the situation in your life when you know you're not equipped, when you know you're nervous, when you know you're scared, when you know you're fearful, when you know you don't know what to do, how to not jump in and how to go around it, how to have better techniques to deal with the situation, because we're all going to have situations like that. And these people, okay, this is science, have come back with improved physical, emotional, and social well-being. Meaning, he specifically discusses the people that have been grateful. The people that every single day of their lives, no matter what happened to them that day, before they go to bed, they think of 1 to 2 things, the more the better, 1 to 2 things that they happened today that I am grateful for. And if I can't think of anything, then I am grateful for the fact that I have eyes and the fact that I can see. And if I can't think of anything, then I'm grateful for the fact that, thank God, I'm still alive and I'm still breathing and I'm not connected to any machines. And if I need a reminder, I can just go to the emergency room and take a walk, or cancer ward and take a walk. But I have to, the people that have done this, the people that have practically done this, all of these classes have to be super practical, meaning you have to do the work. Inspiration lasts for like 30 seconds and then it's done. You can walk out the building and not be inspired anymore. I mean, you could be, yeah, and then no. And then, yeah, and then, what happened? What did she say? I should have taken notes. I forgot. Right? Because inspiration is just like that drug. It's just like that drug. It's just like that party. It's just like that drink. It's up and down. Okay? The idea is to take the inspiration and to do something. You have to do something. Because we live in a physical world, we have to do something that's physical. So any of the people that they studied that have been grateful, that have studied gratitude, that have been grateful in their lives, and that have really practically done it on a daily basis, this is what they came back with. That their physical, emotional, and social well-being were improved. They have greater optimism and happiness. They improved feelings of connection in times of crisis. Meaning in times of crisis, instead of isolating themselves, instead of being afraid and alone and feeling like life is over, they knew how to reach out. They knew how to connect to other people. They knew how to draw in other people for support. That's what it did to their brain. This is physical. This is science. This is not like, oh, it's so nice to be grateful, it's so special, wow, positive, great. Like we're not like a cheerleading thing, okay? Not at all. This is physically what happens to the person's brain. Improved feelings of connections in times of crisis, increased self-esteem. In other words, 1 to 2 things that you're grateful for a day improves your self-esteem, heightens energy levels, heightens strengthens heart, immune system, and decreased blood pressure. Wow. Okay? Why is all that happening? There's more. Hang on, we're going to get to it. Improved emotional and academic intelligence. If you want to do well on tests, be grateful. Expanded capacity for forgiveness. Decreased stress, anxiety, depression, and headaches. Headaches are a direct result, by the way. If you suffer from migraines or headaches, it's a direct result of stuff that's going on in your nefesh. Expanded capacity, we did that. Improved self-care and greater likelihood to exercise. And heightened spirituality, ability to see something greater than ourselves. Meaning they were able to connect to things that were outside of themselves. That's just some of the research that came back. Since this research has been done by Martin Siegelman and his colleagues, and they came out big with this stuff. They came out big, and this shocked the world, because they really did hardcore research. They took large groups of people. This kind of research was done over years, about 2 decades worth of time. So it's like some serious stuff, and they showed the correlation between the mind and the soul. They showed the correlation between when a person is able to really see what works. We feel that in order for us to feel better, then we have to have more money and be in a relationship or have a car or have a house. And how we know, we've seen the interviews, we've heard from the people in Hollywood, all these people that are making billions in their lives, how depression does not evade them. Meaning just because they have all that stuff, they never really are feeling incredible. Because the feelings that we have are feelings that we get to tune. And once we tune it, just like you tune a car, once we tune it, then we get better results. And it has really very little to do with what we have. It has very, very little to do with what we have. That's the clincher here. That we grew up in a world that has brainwashed us to think that if I have more, I'll be more, and if I am more, then I'll feel more, and I'll be happier, and things will work out better for me. And then I spent all the days of my life and my moments and my hours running after the things that I know or I think will make me happier or healthier or a better person, or in essence, we're sitting on the keys. We're sitting on the keys because the keys are the nefesh, the keys are the soul. In the soul is everything we need to know. And there are techniques and tools that are soul, that are for the soul alone. And when I work those, then I impact the whole thing. I impact the entire thing. You know, I was once talking to my sister. This is like 22 years ago. I'm that old. And I was in seminary. I went to Israel for the year. I come from a not religious background. I grew up not religious, and I grew up in Brooklyn to Israeli parents. When I got to America, I went to public school. I was in public school from kindergarten to fourth grade. In fourth grade, I was beat up by my best friends really badly for being Jewish. The whole scene was really, really intense. Basically, there was a courtyard outside of our school, outside of the public school. The public school is tremendous. It's huge. You know, the public schools in America, they're huge. And in the back, there was like just a huge courtyard. And every morning, we had to line up in front of the school, outside in the courtyard. And we had to line up with our class and put our fingers in our mouth and wait for the teacher to call us in. It was a regular morning. I was in fourth grade. I was doing this for about 4 years now, 5 years since kindergarten. And I think it was a Tuesday morning. I walked in, and my friends called me over. And when I came over, I don't remember exactly what they said or what exactly happened there, but two of them held my hands behind my back, and one of them held my legs together, and then I fell on the floor, on the ground. And then they took garbage from the garbage can and soda cans and just potato chip bags and all this stuff, and they stuffed it in my mouth and in my shirt, and they kicked me, and it was really awful. And everyone got around, and everyone was just screaming, "Fight, fight, fight, fight!"
No one helped you?
Huh? No one helped me. No one helped me. And I remember walking up to the teacher afterwards. She was standing there after the whole thing was over, and I said to her, like, I'm bleeding, I'm gushing blood. I still have a scar right here from it. I'm bleeding, and they beat me up, and I was really confused. I was really sad because it was my three best friends. We were like very, very close. I thought we were. And I remember her just standing still, looking straight ahead, and I was like, down there. And she just said, just go wash yourself off. And I left. I just walked straight out of the courtyard, and I walked all the way home. It was a really dangerous neighborhood, and no one knew I was gone. And why did I bring that in? What was I talking about? Did I brought that in? Yes. Thank you. Somebody's paying attention. So after that, I ended up going to a Jewish school because I just didn't want to go to a non-Jewish school because of the whole Jewish thing, even though I had no idea what Jewish was. Like, I was eating pepperoni pizza, and I was like doing everything that everyone else was doing, and I didn't have a Jewish nose, and there was nothing Jewish about me, besides for my Israeli accent. I had a little bit of an Israeli accent then. I spoke like this, and I come from Israel, and I love everybody and peace. And I went to this yeshiva. I went to this Jewish school, and I was there for fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade. I remember getting off the bus. We had a uniform. I had to wear a skirt. I remember getting off the bus and hating skirts so much, like in my blood. I hated skirts so much, like they bothered me. The second I stepped off the school bus, like the skirt came off. Like I would wear my shorts underneath, and the skirt came off. Like I had no patience. I was not in that. I wasn't this like, hippie, like spiritual. No, not at all. And I would chase boys and I would beat them up. That's what I would do for a living when I was in elementary school. So it was very fun. And then in seventh grade, we had this incredible teacher, and she was very, very inspiring. And I decided to start keeping Shabbos, and I started keeping kosher, and I started keeping, I started wearing skirts, and I left the skirts on. And fast forward, I ended up going to Jewish high school, and then I went to Israel for seminary, for a year in Israel. In the middle of seminary, I came back to New York to clean my parents' house for Pesach. Because I knew that if I wasn't going to clean their house for Pesach, their house was not going to be clean for Pesach. So I came back, and I was cleaning my parents' house, and my sister, who at the time was like, just a model, she was actually modeling She would like walk down the streets in Manhattan, and just like modeling agencies would give her their cards, like, come model for us. Very beautiful, very wanted, had tons of friends, doing really, really well. She was an FIT at the time. Her boyfriends would buy her cars and trips to Italy and stuff like that. And I was like this little religious girl with like my top button clothes, and I was like Mr. Cleaning the whole house, and I was listening to Avram Fried, and that was my life. And she was just perfect model. And we were sitting one morning for coffee, and I remember her saying, I when you were in Israel, I went through your yearbook, your 12th grade yearbook, and I was like, you did. Because we all look like a bunch of nerds and like Beis Yaakov in 12th grade, like pearl earrings, like little hair, no makeup, and then it said next to our names, it said like this pasuk from somewhere, Eshet Chayil Mimta, or something like that. And she's just like, in my head, she's like living in in the real world. She's in Manhattan, she's in FIT, she has things, she's like a little bit intimidating. Even though I was very sure about my spiritual path, and I was very into my spiritual path. What happened? Oh, yeah, Fashion Institute of Technology. It's like a very famous fashion school in the city. What? And I remember her saying to me, she said, so I was looking at that yearbook, and I was looking at these girls, and how old are they? Like 17, 18? I said, yeah. She's like, they look so innocent, and they look so wholesome. I said, yeah, pretty much. We're kind of learning ancient texts all day, and working on refining our character, and not speaking Lashon Hara, and eating kosher, and not talking to boys, and it's basically where we are. And she said, I don't know how to explain it, but I just feel hollow. I have everything. I have everything. I have my boyfriend's amazing. I don't have any, there's nothing in my life that I can say, if I just had that, then I would be happier. I really just, I'm okay. I have everything. And I have my friends. Her friends would send her limousines just to go out clubbing with them. On that level of intensity. And I was daring enough to say to her, I said, of course you feel hollow. Because it's almost like you go to the gym and you're working on the right side of your body the whole time. You're just working your right side of your body, and you're working on the right side of your body, and the left side of your body you just leave. So of course you feel hollow, because your whole essence is physicality, and your spiritual world is it's anorexic. You're not feeding it. Feed it. Feed it. Give it some spiritual food. Give it some food, because that's who you are. And if you don't nourish your spiritual self with some spiritual food, then you're not going to be able to really, really feel alive and good in all of the physicality. Have the physicality. Enjoy. Go to the parties. Have friends. Do all that stuff. But don't forget that you are 50% soul and 50% body. It's really 100% and 100%. You're 100% body and 100% soul. And as long as you're just going to take the soul out of the equation and just say, I feel depressed, let me go shopping. I feel depressed, let me eat yogurt. I feel depressed, let me hook up with this person. I feel sad, let me go on a vacation. As long as that's the food that you're nourishing your soul, you're always going to come back emptier. You got to know the science. Thank God today she's already she's in a different place. She keeps Shabbat, and she married a religious guy, and she's in a better place in terms of that feeling of hollowness. But that's the equation. That's the reality of things. So back to gratitude for a second. So gratitude is yeah.
Can you give more examples of spiritual food as people eat?
Yeah. So we're going to mainly focus on gratitude, because we've done all the spiritual stuff in the past 2 classes. Okay? The gratitude piece is like this. Listen to this. Chazal. Now we're going to go into Kabbalah for a second. Kabbalah says like this. Im Adam, if a person, model Hashem, says thank you, al advarim aktanim, on the small things, v'halo ni'imim shekorim lo, that are not nice, that happen to him. Meaning, I say thank you for what I get, obviously. You say thank you you get your paycheck, you say thank you. You say thank you. You must say thank you. The act of saying thank you, the act of gratitude creates more of the thing that you're thinking for. Okay? It's almost like you have a kid. You have a kid that's like, Mom, I want a bike and I want to go to the pool. So you buy him a bike and you take him to the pool. He's like, but mom, now I want ice cream, I want to go on a play date. So you take him to ice cream and take him to a play date. But mom, I want this and I want that. And in essence, the more he just asks and wants and desires and doesn't see what you already gave him. But I already gave you a bike and the pool and a play date and toys. So say thank you for what I gave you. See what I gave you. See it. See what you have. Then the more I'm able to see what I have, then the more the person that's giving to me wants to give to me. When my kid says, Ima, thank you so much for getting that from you. It was so nice. I love it. And he plays with it and he takes care of it and it means so much to him. Then I want to just give more to him. I want to invest more in him because I see that he values what he got. As opposed to a kid that's just like, gimme, 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 gimme. It's like a black hole. It's never ending. And you're like, wait, but look how much I gave you. But look at what you have. The psychology is very, very clear that a person that is able to see what they have is a person that's always going to be receiving more. And a person that's always focused on the lack in their life, of what they don't have right now in this place in their life. It's like the stuff that you were praying for 5 years ago, the stuff that you wanted 5 years ago, most likely most of the things that were on your list, you have right now. If you wanted a car, and if you wanted to find an apartment, and if you wanted to get to Israel, or if you wanted to, go on that trip, or you wanted to get into that college, or whatever it is, wherever it was that you wanted 5 years ago, you most likely filled most of those things that you wanted back then. You bought that car, you found that apartment, you got to that place in your life that you wanted to get to. So it's really a never-ending cycle of needs and wants and wants and needs. And as long as we understand that as long as we're on this world, we're always going to be in a state of lack. To be able to receive more from heaven, to be able to receive more from God, the equation is like this. Say thank you and notice what you do have already. The ceiling above you, the floor below you, the bed you're on, the pillow you're sleeping on, the pillowcase, the toilet bowl, the running water, the food in your fridge, the apartment, the health in your body, the health, the vitality, the energy in your beautiful living body. So you don't have right now an idea of where the supplemental income is going to come from. It's okay. If you want to figure out how that's going to happen, you have to say, okay, thank you for this, and thank you for this, and thank you for this, and thank you for this. Because once I am able to see what I do have and what I was given, then the person that's giving it to me, the force that's giving it to me, the being that's giving it to me is always going to shower me with more. A person that is grateful, aside from all the benefits of gratitude, affecting their body, affecting their well-being, affecting their health, affecting their vitality, affecting their relationships, affecting their intellect, affecting their emotional well-being, affecting their physical well-being, affecting their want for connection, for love, their ability to exercise, their motivation. Aside from all of the benefits that we get from being grateful, the act of being grateful for what it is that I do have, seeing that I have a phone, and I have a this, and I have a that, I'm able to see what I do have, I know what I don't have. We're all very, very keenly aware of what we don't have. We're all there. We know. That we want a relationship, and that we want money, and that we want more stability, and that we want our parents to get along, and that we want all the things that we want. But in order for me to be able to get all those things, I have to see what I've already gotten. That's the equation. That's equation number 2. It's really, really important that we learn how to work soul. And that's how we work soul. So he says like this in Kabbalah. So if a person is able to say thank you for the things that they didn't get, the things that are not going well, the ticket that you got, the paycheck that you never got, the bad news, God forbid, that you got. When a person is able, in the moment, because it's a test. Okay? It's a test. And these tests are very, very important for our character. In the moment when I'm able to say, oh, I got a ticket, thank you. I know that everything that you do is for my best. I know that everything is for my best. Thank you. I don't know. I don't see. I don't have a bird's eye view of how exactly this fits into the equation of everything in my life and how this makes sense and how this is beneficial for me, but I trust you. I trust you. Then what happens, he says, כשקוראים לו, הוא בשמיים הופך את הדין לרחמים ומושך ועל עצמו השפעה וחנינה מעבר למה שמגיע לו מצד הדין מאוצר מתנת חינם. It says like this, Kabbalah teaches that there is a force in Shemaim called matnas chinam. Matnas chinam is being able to receive free gifts. Okay? Being a person that is able to, right now it's almost like a credit card that you can buy now, pay later type of thing. Okay? But in this in this spiritual place, matnat chinam, otzar matnat chinam, there is no pay later. It's just buy now. In other words, that we're given good, we're given shefa, we're given abundance, we're given all the things that we need from this place of matnat chinam that I don't really have to do anything for. I don't have to keep Shabbat or wear skirts, or I don't have to be anything in order to be able to receive from there. He says that Kabbalah explains and teaches that a person that is grateful for the things that are not going well in their life, what they do is two things. Number one, they erase judgments that are supposed to be coming into their life. Judgments are anywhere from a paper cut to, God forbid, something big. Any kind of judgment that a person has, because we live in a world that works on bureaucracy. In other words, there's nothing that you take from this world that you don't have to pay for. Nothing. And if we think that we take from this world, like a person that steals, he's somewhere in his lifetime, he's going to end up paying back for that. Either he's going to lose a lot of money, or something's going to happen, he's going to end up paying back for that. There's no such thing as things just happening. That's what it always says, that's what people always tell you, like, don't take revenge, don't go after that person. He's going to get what's coming to him. What's that thing in English? Karma. Right? They're going to get, why, what is that concept? The concept is that it really works that way. A person cannot take anything from this world without having to pay for it. Everything they end up paying for, even if it looks like right now they got away with it. Right now they got away with it. It doesn't work that way. And it says in the Torah that we should not take revenge on people. We should not take revenge on people because it's not our job. Because everything is seen and everything is heard and everything is written down. And that's why it's important, it's really, really important to live correctly and to know that even though it looks like if I would manipulate this person or this situation right now in my favor and maybe step on a few people on the way up, maybe they even deserve it, maybe I should do that, because otherwise how am I going to get that job, or how am I going to get my foot in the door there, right? That kind of calculation is called sick thinking. That's not healthy thinking. That's not spiritually in line. And that's why the Torah, there's so many books, so many svarim that tells you exactly how to act in business, and exactly how to act with your money, and exactly how to act with your words. What words to say, what words not to say, what lying does, what anger does, what contributing to another person for free, chesed, just doing something for the other person without having to get anything in return. What that does, how that impacts your soul, how that impacts your life, your relationships, and everything that you're experiencing. Meaning it's like what we see is very much tunnel vision in terms of what's really going on. So when a person is able to say thank you for the things that are not working out in their lives, what they do is that they erase dinim that are supposed to be coming to them, God forbid, judgments, okay? God forbid a car accident, or someone getting sick, or losing a job, or whatever it is. And the second thing he says is say, ומושך על עצמו שפע וחנינה מעבר למה שמגיע לו. Meaning he's able to draw onto himself into his life from this place of matnat chinam, from this place of I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it. It's not like I did enough in this world to be able to deserve that thing, that thing. I don't deserve it. But if a person is able to say thank you for the things that are not going well in their life, what that brings to them is to be able to receive shefa, abundance, from a place that they don't deserve. It's called from matnat chinam. Things that are going to come into their life that they don't, based on their actions, based on their life, they don't deserve. In a din kind of way. That's how the world was created. God created the world with din v'rachamim. That everything that is, there is logic and a system and bureaucracy to everything. And what this is saying is that it's a loophole, it's a way around it. That if a person is able to get used to being grateful for the things that are not going well in their life, for the hiccups, for the dysfunction, for the frustrations, for the bad news, and in the moment say, I don't understand, and I don't see, and I don't get it. But thank you. What they just did was they erased dinim from their neshama, they erased judgments that are supposed to be coming to them, and they are able to pull abundance and shefa and good from a place of otzal matnas chinam, something that is beyond what they deserve, beyond what's coming to them. If I'm able to train myself in my life to be in this mode of gratitude, to be able to say, let me focus on what yes before I look at what not, then what not becomes a what yes. And people get hyper-focused on what's not. And the more hyper-focused I am on what's not, the less I'm able to actually touch it and experience it and feel it. The more frustrated I am, but why this is not working out, and God, what do you have against me? And God, I went to Uman, for goodness sakes. Why can't I get this now? Or God, like, I kept Shabbat, like, what's your deal? Like, why are you doing this to me? But in the moment, be able to say, thank you here, here, and here, and here, and here for the bad, but also I want to say thank you for all the things that are in my life, then I've just become a vessel. I've turned myself into a vessel. Now I want to end off, and I want to just tell you historically from the Torah, something that's very, very fascinating. When the Jews came out of Egypt, they were supposed to go into Israel after 3 days. They got the keys to Israel, and they were supposed to go to Israel after 3 days. And they spent 40 years in the desert. And all the commentaries bug out there, and they all say, like, why? Why, if they were supposed to be in Israel, from Mitzrayim to Israel, they were supposed to have something called Kfitzat HaDerech, and get to Israel in 3 days, and start building the Beit HaMikdash, and start, working the land. Why did it take 40 years? And people died in the desert. Meaning people that were supposed to enter Israel, they died in the desert. It was 40 years longer. And the Sfat Emet, he writes there, and he commentates, and he says like this, he says that they complained so much in the desert for not having the meat, and not having the water, and not having whatever they complained about. And there were a lot of complaints on Moshe. They were constantly coming back to him with complaints. The actual act of complaining prolongs getting to where you want to get to. The actual act. Now we're talking about spirituality. We're talking about how our words, last class we spoke about affirmations, how our words shape our reality, how our thoughts create our reality, how our actions, it's stuff that we're involved in. How when we are able to be involved in them in the right way, from the right angle, we can create much better results. Like I just said before, if you're worried, take a step away. Go outside, take a walk, bye, go away. Step away from the problem. What?
We're still suffering from that.
What's that?
We're still suffering from not saying thank you.
What's?
Moroccan. It's like we're still suffering till these days.
We're still suffering from it.
Till these days.
Exactly. And that's the next point. And that they said that there are 3 things that are acquired through tribulations, through hardships. 3 things in this world, spiritual things that are acquired. If a person wants them, if a person wants to acquire them, he has to go through difficulties. It's not going to come like that. And the 3 things are Israel, having the merit to live here, the privilege of living here. And people think in America or around the world that like it's their choice that they're not moving here. Or it has nothing to do with choice. If you're here, you were brought here. If you're here, you were picked and brought here. It's the select Jews that have the privilege of living here in this country are on this land, on this holy bit of land that the entire world is arguing about and wants. Okay? That if you are here, you have to know that you were chosen to be here, and it's a privilege to be here. And in order to be here, you have to experience yisurim, difficulties. Because it's like a tax. It's almost like going to like a fancy restaurant without a menu and no prices. Right? So you know, walking in ahead of time, that you're going to have an amazing meal, but at the end, you're going to probably be surprised, or just don't be surprised, because you already know what you're going into. Meaning to the level of experience, to the level of enlightenment, to the level of spiritual enlightenment, and what it is that we're experiencing here, just by the fact that we're breathing the air here. It says, Avira de'eret Israel machkima. The air here is different than anywhere else. It actually impacts the mind in a different way. So, but the fact that we're able to live here, we have to pay a tax. And the tax may be that we go to this post office, and then they send us to that office, and then we go to that office, and they send us to this office. And I just want to pay my bill. Can I just pay my bill? Like today, I was on the phone with the insurance company for my car, and she's like, "Okay, this is what you have to do. You have to pay us for this, and you have to pay us for that." I'm like, "Okay." I'm gonna have my card in front of me. I'm like, "Okay, here's the number." She's like, "Oh no, I can only take your card for one payment, but for the other payment, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send you an email, and you have to print it." And I'm like, "Okay, I don't have ink. Okay, now I have to go to a print shop. Okay, where's there a print shop? Okay, so now you have to print it, and with that printed document, you have to go to the door, and in the door, you have to ask them for this other." I'm like, I just want to pay for my insurance, like my car insurance. Like I just want to, like in America, it was like Geico. I like pressed yes, and it was done. Like I didn't have to like even look at it, right? But that is the tax. That is the spiritual tax of being able to have the privilege of living here. And in that moment, I said, "Thank you, Hashem. Thank you, sweetheart. Sure. Is there anything else I need to do? Do you want me to get you a coffee on the way, maybe?" Because it's just so beyond. It's so beyond. 3 things. The second thing is Torah. a person wants to acquire Torah, they have to be able to go through, they will go through tribulations to be able to acquire it. It's not going to come easy. It's not going to be like, fine, I'll do you a favor, and I'll come to a class, and I'll like sit here, and then I'm going to be enlightened. No. To get Torah, to be able to get Torah, meaning to have Torah in you, to be able to have Torah working on you, to be able to have Torah working on your life, you got to work. You have to work. It's going to be hard. There's going to be a lot of times when you're just going to want to give up, not go, who cares, it's not. But that's the thing. That's how it works. You have to be able to struggle to be able to get it. And the third thing is, hold on, Eretz Israel, Torah, hold on, Eretz Israel, Torah, hold on. Okay, it doesn't matter. I'll tell you after the class. What the focus is on is Eretz Israel. I'll tell you after the class. I have it written down. Wow, I taught this so many times, and it's not. Zivug, no. Child, no. That's Ricky. What is it? No. It's like a physical thing. Okay. Olam Haba. Olam Haba. Thank you, God. Olam Haba is the next world. The person wants to be able to acquire the next world, they have to go through trials and tribulations in this world. Olam Haba is really, I'm just going to tell you as a PS, by the way, the next world, the world to come, is only an experience. It's an experience, it's a manifestation of the amount of investment that I made here in my soul life. That's it. That's what my Olam Haba is. Meaning, the more deposits I make into my soul, the more I'm able to work my soul, the more I'm able to work my spiritual faculties, then that is going to be the experience I'm going to have. That's going to be my next world. That is what I'm going to experience in my next world. So the Shabbat and the Kasher and all of the things that we're as Jews mold us into more spiritual beings, refine us into becoming our souls. That's my next world. That's what I'm going to experience for my next world. But going back to Eretz Israel for a second.
But wait, these are the 3 keys for what?
What's that?
These 3 keys are how?
These are 3 things that if you want to acquire them, you have to suffer to experience them. You have to suffer. A person is going to have to suffer to experience them. You want to live here, you're going to suffer. In some way or another, you will. It's easier in America or wherever you're from. It's definitely easier, but there's something that's here that keeps everyone coming back here. And when you're not here, you're like, oh, I miss Israel. I miss Israel, but it's so nice here. Like I have everything. I have my house and I have my car and I have my job and everything's so easy and there's parking everywhere and it's just like so easy and good and there's no like Israelis screaming at me and there's like none of that. But like I miss Israel. Why? Because it's something here. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. It's just an experience that you can't explain. You speak to someone that never came to Israel before. You try to explain to them what it's like. Girlfriend, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Because you can't explain sweet to someone that's never tasted it. It's good. It makes your like mouth like it really hits you somewhere. It's like that sweet. Okay, you don't know what sweet is, but it's like that. You can't explain sweet to someone that's never tasted sugar, right? And then once you taste sugar, it's kind of hard to undo that, right? So the thing with Israel. The thing with Israel is like this. And then when they were walking through the desert for 40 years, and they were circling and circling and circling and circling and circling, what was all the circling about? All the circling was about cleaning themselves off from all the complaints. That they had to go through another situation, and another situation, and another situation, because the complaining really covered themselves. It's called a klipa. In the terms of Kabbalah, it's called a klipa. It's a peel. It's a spiritual peel. That a person has peels on themselves from anger. When a person gets angry, there's thick peels on them, thick, right? And when a person complains, and when a person is stingy and doesn't help another person, right? When a person is in that space, they create klipot. And these klipot, they extend their journey. Extending the journey means I can be married in 2 months from now, or in 5 months from now, or I can like really have clarity about something, or I can really get that job and land it, but I'm going to have to go through another 1.5 years of journeying and circling in order to be able to land there, because I have refinement to do. I have to refine and refine and refine and refine, and then I clear off the klipot, and then I'm able to receive. That's the equation. When they did the whole complaining and circling thing and finally went into Israel after 40 years, what they created in the reality, what they put into the reality is Eretz Israel Niknet Beisurim. Eretz Israel Niknet Beisurim means in order to acquire Israel, you need to go through difficulties. They actually created that in the reality. They brought that into reality. Eretz Yisrael was not supposed to be niknet b'yisurim. Eretz Yisrael was supposed to be ours. It wasn't supposed to be something that we're constantly fighting everyone to keep. It wasn't supposed to be something that we're constantly apologizing to everyone that we have. And it wasn't supposed to be something that we're ashamed of, or that we're scared of, or that we feel sorry about, or that is hard to acquire, or that living here is a difficult thing. It wasn't supposed to be that way. It was supposed to be Chat Shtayim Shalosh, I'm in, 3 days, done. But the spiritual actions that we're involved in, which are, we have to understand, the spiritual actions are our characteristics. And when we allow ourselves to blow up, but if we have enough information, enough food in our minds, enough food for our thoughts, that we know that one second, I'm pulling a trigger right now. I'm pulling the trigger on my foot. I'm shooting myself in the foot right now. And some of the things that we're involved in are shooting ourselves in the head. Just because for a certain amount of time we're experiencing some kind of pleasure from it. Some kind of small, slight pleasure from it. But in essence, it's hurting us. Like, what do you mean I have to tell her off? You know how much she hurt me? So I have to blow up right now, and I have to break some plates. And I have to show her who's boss. Or I have to, not be a fryer. How do you say a fryer? A pushover. I can't be a pushover because if I don't respond right now, then they're going to take advantage of me for the rest of my life. So I have to show them who's boss. Coming from that kind of place, in the moment, there's some kind of pleasure that we get from being angry. There's a pleasure that we get from gossiping. There's a pleasure that we get from being involved with all these dark energies. But we're shooting ourselves in the foot in the long run. Because then we're complicating our path and we're extending our journeys. The idea is to refine, to get rid of the peels, of the klipot. And finally, I want to end off saying that there's a commentator by the name of the Machshava. And he explains like this, that there's a chazal, there's a pasuk that says, "V'derech she'adam rotze lalech, molechin oto." The way that a person wants to go, the person that desires to walk in his life, molechin oto. In that way, he's escorted. Meaning the way that I desire to go in my life, the path that I want to take, I'm escorted in that way. So the Machshava over there, he writes, he says, who are these escorts? Who are these escorts that are escorting you? What does that mean? Who are these escorts? And he explains there, he says that the actual thoughts that a person has, because when I desire something, when I want something, it comes from here. So the actual thoughts that I have around that thing, those are the thoughts that escort me to that thing. In other words, I create spiritual entities, energies around me, and that's what we were talking about last week, the vibrations, the affirmations, the vibe. I create a vibe about myself around me, and those energies, they escort me in the way that I'm going. So if I'm thinking right now, I'm not good enough, I suck, look at my track record, I don't know if this is going to happen, it's not realistic, I don't know, it's not in the cards for me, my mom always told me that, my dad always told me that, I'm a disappointment. If I'm thinking these things, even though to me they're real, because listen, look at all the times I screwed up in my life. Proof is in the pudding. If I think that way, I'm literally being escorted by the energies that I'm creating with my thoughts in that direction. Meaning I'm propelling myself further and further and further into that situation. The idea is not to look at the cards in the table, not to look at the proof in the pudding, not to be realistic. The idea is to be beyond that. To think beyond that, to think where I want, to think what I want to be. So if you're not, right now, you're not a person that's very warm, you're not a person that, you want to be a person that's more of a magnet. You want to be a person that's more of a giver, more of a lover of mankind. You want to be a person that's not stingy, that doesn't look at the negative in other people. You want to be more of that kind of person? Think, I am that kind of person. I am loving, affectionate, caring. I attract warm, loving people because I am a warm, loving person. Stop living the rehearsed, broken record syndrome in your mind of all things that you've been telling yourself all these years. Because b'derech she'adam rotze lalech, molichin oto. And your retzonot, your wants, our desires come from our thoughts. Where your desires originate in your mind first and foremost. So we got to be very, 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 very selective. We got to be very, very clear what we're thinking, what we're saying, how we're approaching, because literally we are creating our lives by that. And gratitude, my friends, writing down or having in mind or putting it in your phone before you hit the pillow at night, 2 things, anything. Thank you, God, for. Thank you, universe, for. Fill in the blank. Whatever. Being able to be well today. Having a friend that cared about me today and came over when I was in a really bad mood. A affording Ben & Jerry's ice cream right now. I don't know where I'm going to get rent money next week, but right now I'm alive, I'm well, I have some cash in my pocket, I have friends, I have people that care about me. I can pick up the phone and call my parents. For the people watching, maybe I have some kids around me. I have things that are going for me. I have things that I prayed for 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago that I've manifested. Thank you. Thank you. I don't want to be a kafui tov. I don't want to be a person that is just a taker. I want to be a person that notices and sees. That's where I want my vision to be. And once you fix your vision that way, you fix your vision on what you have, you're going to be given so much more. And once you're able to see the things in your life that are not working, but you're able to say thank you. And having reminders, by the way, these are brilliant. Because having reminders, because I'm a work in progress. I'm a work in progress. And how often is it that I'm stuck, like on the way here, I was stuck in traffic and I'm like, oh my God, I can't be late again, I can't be late again. No. And like I feel my heart and I see the red lights in front of me and I'm just like, no, when am I going to get? And the GPS was telling me 10:15 or something crazy like that. And I was like, I can't. And the stress and the nerves. And then I just said, thank you, Hashem. Thank you, Hashem. Thank you, Hashem. It's all good, Hashem. Thank you. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm here. I'm stuck. There's nothing I can do about it. Thank you, Hashem. Literally, I'm not joking. The second I started thinking Hashem, it started working. It started going. I got here. I made it. Almost in time. 25 minutes late. But it's better. It's better than 45. So with that, I'm going to leave you. And I just want to tell you about Breakthrough 2. Breakthrough 2, we're going to start after the Chagim, after Sukkot. Breakthrough 2 is very in-depth. You're going to get sheets. It's a lot of work, but it's the most powerful Kabbalistic, anything that I've ever learned, and I've been learning for many, many years and teaching for many, many years. It's life-changing beyond anything else that's, for me, that I found. And what is it? It's basically the concepts of mirrors. And we go into Kabbalah that explains what are mirrors. What are the mirrors in our lives? How does that work? And it's very textual based. Okay, everything's translated. It's all going to be in Hebrew and in English. I'm going to have it all for you. It's about a 12-hour course, but we're going to cut it down into 6. And I'm just going to give you we're going to skip a few classes. And it talks a lot about the nefesh, the body-soul connection, and how when a person is manifesting mental illness on whatever level, okay, how that has everything to do with their nefesh and where they're going in their nefesh. I just want to end off and just say over here on this point that mental illness, a lot of it, okay, our minds are very fragile. Anyone is susceptible to mental illness. Anyone, be it whether you have it in your genes or not. Our minds are very, very fragile. And when we have a very difficult conversation in our minds constantly, and when we are bullying ourselves in our heads all the time for not being enough, and we don't celebrate our accomplishments at all, not just the job that I landed and the big things in my life, but the small things, it doesn't really cut it. It makes it a little bit more complicated. It makes it a little harder. Realize and know that our minds are fragile. And we have to handle with care. There's a lot of material there, and it's very, very powerful. So Rabbi Hill's going to send you all the information, and I look forward. Any questions? Okay. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Say hi to my Facebook friends. Hi. You're on live. Live from Tel Aviv.